If your family or your friends, they don't see a bigger life for themselves, then you likely shouldn't take advice from them. But they're like, I have to be a doctor, I have to be a lawyer, I have to be this one thing, I have to work for my dad's company, I have to do this. So they're boxed in already, even in a successful blossoming environment.
You need to put your own patterns and you gotta do your own stuff. You need to figure out yourself, like what do you wanna do? What are you good at? Do you enjoy it?
So it's the mentality, right? The mentality is like, it's a scarcity mentality versus an abundance mentality. People don't realize it's a player versus player game. Like every time you sell, there's a guy buying it on the other side of you. You just operating out of abundance and that mindset of, I'm gonna figure it out and I have faith that things are going to be better than where they are now. That simple thing enough, God will bring you all the right people that you need in your life. Who you're listening to and who you're learning shit from is very important. Always use other people's money, right? If I can get someone to believe in me, some guy who's worth 100 mil doesn't care about investing $1 million. He's like, whatever, I believe in this kid.
They invest 1% of their whole net worth.
Exactly.
Today we have Dylan Wiler, a full-time trader and creator of his own trading bot, where he reduces the risk of his clients' investments. He came from a little town, a little valley, and now he's living here in Miami. He's living the dream. Today, he's gonna tell us how he did it. Hey guys, welcome back to Bali Talks, where we talk to business owners and entrepreneurs. Welcome, brother.
Good to be here.
If you could give a little introduction to us, who you are and what do you do?
So my name's Dylan, entrepreneur, but I like to call myself an artist with everything I do because I come from a very creative family. Both my parents were in the movie business. Didn't really get to see the glamorous side of that, but I did get to hear the stories. And growing up in a small town in Oregon and then moving into a small town in Washington, basically the same difference. It was those stories that really carried my mind to be able to see more. To be able to take the move to California that I did at 17 to then now living here in Miami. You know, when you're a small town kid, it's like, there's not really much success you're seeing. So yeah, I'm just like, all right, well, the only way I know how to get success is to leave here because my family, they had these dreams they fulfilled, you know, maybe not to some millionaire, billionaire level like that, but it was more like they did what they wanted in their heart and they did something that, you know, is off the traditional path. So I was like, okay, well, if I want to do that, I should just follow their footsteps. So I moved myself down to California and just fucking figured it out. But at the end of the day, everything I do, I treat as like an artist. I'm very spontaneous in the way I do business. I'm very spontaneous in the way I do life. And I look at everything like a canvas because, you know, when you have too much pressure or too much rules, I think it doesn't leave enough room for you to expand into something greater because you're focused on a concept or a standard that was put there, a ceiling in and of itself. When you're truly open, and like how I like to believe it, if I'm truly open in life, everything can change at any moment. And I could, you know, splash the paint on here, or I could make a call here, and then now the whole new door opens up that I never saw before. You know, so that's why I like to say I'm really an artist with business.
So you believe you can like put any patterns that you want and create whatever you want, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you know why I call you, I call everybody's an entrepreneur because we do different things.
Yeah.
Yes, we are creators.
Right.
We also, for example, for me, I do sports. I have different businesses.
Yeah.
I don't only do real estate.
Yeah.
So we're entrepreneurs. We do different things.
Yeah.
Instead of a business owner, they only own a business.
Only own a business, right.
We do different things and totally love that. I mean, once you come from a small town and you go to, you know, a big city like LA, you get to get pressure and experience different things, expand your mind, expand your thoughts, and actually try to create that life that you want. It's like, okay, now I can decide. I see somebody, you see how successful they are, and all you gotta do is just follow the path, right?
Yeah.
Like, get around those people. It's a quick example like water. Like, you know, you can put that water bottle in a vending machine, you can put it in a festival, you can put it on CVS,
right? And
it's gonna have different prices because it depends on what environment you're putting yourself into.
Yeah,
your price is gonna be different. The value that environment is gonna add more value to you. Depends on where you're at. And it's funny because we put ourselves in those places. You need to figure out and get out there, get to that big city. You know, get uncomfortable and.
I love that water bottle metaphor. I people always are like, how do you come up with all these metaphors all the time? Really, it's because my dad was like the master metaphor guy. Everything, but the water bottle and parlaying it to your environment, that's so true. It's so true. I mean, like, you can be $1 million person in a small town in America right now. You watching this, you literally could be in bumblefuck Kansas, Kentucky, wherever, Oregon, doesn't matter. And you could have all the makings to make your life right now, but you just don't see it. And a lot of times I think it's, comes down to parenting as well as your environment. Like the biggest blessing I realized, growing up, we didn't have much, but we weren't the poorest, but we weren't rich by any means. The biggest thing was that they told me I could do anything. And I've come to realize that that's a very rare commodity now with people, because most of their parents, even let's just say upper middle class family, met a lot of, Miami, LA, a lot of kids that grow up with tons of money, but they're like, I have to be a doctor, or I have to be a lawyer, I have to be this one thing, I have to work for my dad's company, I have to do this. So they're boxed in already, even in a successful blossoming environment, which is really the cancer, is being boxed in. And going back to like the artist's way of living, it's like having no boxes and being able to really be an entrepreneur and say, I see an opportunity here, or this guy's trying to tell me something, I can learn something and we can collaborate. And that's just going to make my painting, my picture, my painting of life so much more beautiful, because the elements that I was open to for collaboration were able to expand my mind to a new place.
Well, like you said, it comes back to parenting, comes back to those patterns that they're getting every single day. When you're being raised, first of all, you didn't choose your name. You didn't choose your parents. So you just you have to go with it. But at some point, you need to realize that you need to put your own patterns and you got to do your own stuff. You need to figure out yourself. Like, what do you want to do? What are you good at? Do you enjoy it?
Right.
So sometimes you don't enjoy it, but you're good at it. And it's like, okay, you got to decide. Like,
yeah.
You can't ask your parents, because guess what? They want the best for you. They want you to be safe.
Right.
So they want to keep you in this bubble so nothing happens to you.
Exactly.
And it's like, if I keep myself in this comfortable zone, like, I'm never getting anywhere.
No. And that's, I think, everyone at home too. Like, if your family or your friends, they don't see a bigger life for themselves, then you likely shouldn't take advice from them. If they're choosing one path for you, only ask why they're choosing that path for you. And then, like you said, it's really coming down to security, mostly from your family. So understand that, love them, trust them in that, but then take it into account of why they want you to do it. And so you can then make your own decision, because, if you're really good at something, like, you should just pursue it, because you'll find the love in the life you create. Sometimes it's not really going to be the thing you do. And like, for me, like, am I obsessed? Like, my main business is trading. Am I obsessed with looking at the chart all day, studying companies? Yeah, now, because I've seen the results it's brought me, but sitting there for hours and years and years and years, that was like fucking painful. You're watching paint dry, basically. I mean, it's very just you and the screen, you and the market, you in your own head, very above the neck shit. You're not getting out in the world, like real estate, where you're meeting people, talking to people. So, that's what also forced me to find other things once I had it down packed, because trading in of itself is a very, sort of set and forget, or it's a quick thing, once you get good. So they have all this time. So what do you do with the time? Most people will sit back, chill, whatever. But like me, I want to continue to improve in life, take more opportunities. So parlaying back to the beginning, real estate, I was like, why not? Let me learn about this. Let me figure it out. And it opened my mind up to learning so much more information that was crucial in all aspects of business.
And you probably learned some stuff in the real estate that it relates to trading.
100%.
It's pretty crazy how everything is related. And that's why I talk about patterns. I see patterns everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's like everything is related. Sometimes you're learning about real estate, but there's something in the market that is teaching you, I don't know, how to analyze in the trading, the company, whatever the market cap, like,
yeah.
Who knows? Like,
no, exactly.
He helps you.
And
so if you could tell me your story, how you got into trading?
Yeah, so it's pretty interesting. I started off just like watching CNN, whatever, Jim Cramer, all that stuff when I was 15. And like, I was just watching it because I was interested. And my stepdad, the guy that my mom ended up remarrying, we ended up moving to Washington at the time. And he was a lawyer, traditional guy from Brooklyn, cool New York Jewish guy, but he was very much like work my ass off 7 days a week, come home, just to provide and, at least a decent life, which I really respected a lot, especially more as I've got older, right? Because, my actual dad, he moved away because he just couldn't just deal with the things that were going on, and he needed more opportunity for himself. But at the end of the day, I started looking at the news and I'm like, oh, what's this? The first thing I really remember was Tesla. And Tesla, basically, they were going through this hard time. Elon was trying to get funding. Basically, he was going to go bankrupt. And my stepdad was like, I think Tesla's out. I think they're done. And I was like, I don't think so. And that was like the first prediction that I ever made. And I didn't put a bet on it or anything. I didn't place a trade on it. But I remember Tesla recovering. They met their deadlines. I think it was like before Christmas. Don't quote me 100% on this. 2015 something. And, they ended up becoming Tesla today. And now if I imagine, it's like, okay, if I would have invested in that, I would do my back testing on my ideas, back testing on the data, back testing on what I was able to see in the market, because you're a predictor, right? So at the end of the day, I was like, okay, this is some good validation, but I kind of put it to the side. I ended up getting, just into social media at that time. I was pursuing mostly music at the time because my family came from acting, and, my mom always played, it's funny, she always played like Kanye and Snoop in the car, like in the PT Cruiser, and like with my older brothers, and like the first little iPod I got was a gift from my older brother, and it was just loaded with like Usher, Jay-Z, Kanye West. But then my dad, he was like a rock star, great guitar player, always playing AC/DC, Zeppelin, all this stuff, Leonard Skinner. So I had like both of those heavily influenced. And my mom, she worked at the elementary school.
Okay.
She worked Baja Fresh, and then she built a small piano business. So she teach people how to play piano, mostly kids from the area.
Sessions?
Yeah, and she do it out of the house so she could spend a little more time and make some extra money, trying to support us.
That's cool.
Yeah.
For example, when you talked about your stepdad, for me, that's kind of like a slavery.
Right.
Because like, okay, yes, you work a lot, you get a lot of money, whatever, but you're a slave to that job, to that guy.
No, and to this day, I mean, he's so funny example just going off that is like, I was convincing him for a long time. I'm like, dude, get a nice car. He drove the same '06 Benz that his boss bought him before he went on his own in 2006. He drove the same car till this year, dude. Like this, and he could have been afforded a nicer car. I mean, fuck, I'm driving a nicer fucking car than him. Like, I'm like, what the fuck? I know so many kids out here that have Lambos and all this shit, and I know they're not pulling in a consistent $200,000 a year. They may say they are, but they're just showing off because fuck, they got 20% down. They're like, fuck it, But I was like, listen, because he had a cancer scare about 2 years ago, literally 15% to live, and I was like preparing my mom like crazy. It was like colon cancer that had spread to the bone, and I was like, listen, Steve, like at the end of the day, you need to be happy every day, and you're working your ass off still in your 60s, going to work, going to your clients, and it's fucking commendable, but get a nice car. Enjoy. He loves cars. He was playing the racing sim for like 5 years. So it's the mentality, right? The mentality is like, it's a scarcity mentality versus an abundance mentality. He has always been scarcity because of the way he was raised. He was raised traditional Brooklyn Jewish family. Like, you're going to be a lawyer or a doctor, right? And like, that's it. And you got to not spend as much money. You got to make sure you save, which is great. And I agree with some of it. But you have to enjoy life because really we don't know. I could be here today and fuck, I could walk out the studio and get smacked by a car. Not maybe, but seriously. So like,
it's 100%.
You got to do it. And especially if something you love, like I knew you love cars. I was like, dude, you have to get a nice car. So we got the GT, a 53 coupe Mercedes guy, loves it. Dude, he's just got a whole new life in him. I'm seeing how much happier he is. My mom's even happier because of it. So like little things in life you have to enjoy. You got to push yourself, even if you're, scared a little bit. The best things I've ever had happen to me is when I had no idea what the fuck was going to happen. My back was against the wall and I was just open to figuring it out. And, back into my story about how I learned how to trade. So I was 17. I had dropped out of high school for like 6 months, finished online, ended up walking with my class. I thought that was great. And then I, go to college for like 2 seconds, leave. I ended up coming back for another 2 seconds and leaving again. But in the first time I left, I ended up moving in with a kid I met at summer camp. This is so crazy about the universe too, and how relationships, and I'll parlay this back later, are more important than money. Yeah. And you may never, ever understand where a relationship could take you 5, 10 years, 20 years down the line by just interacting with that person, So I was in summer camp at 10. I was a really good skateboarder. So I went to this summer camp. It's not, it's called Wendell's. There's another popular one that most people know about on the East Coast. But anyways, it was in Oregon, right? Maybe about an hour and a half from me at this place called Mount Hood. They built this insane skate, snowboard summer camp. It was dope. Tons of parks, all this stuff. I was into it. I'm 10. I'm like fucking loving it. This kid becomes my bunkmate and I'm like getting to know him. He's like, oh, I'm from Malibu. I'm like, I've seen movies. I'm like, Malibu. Like, you're like surfer, like, Cali kid, huh? We ended up hitting it off, good friends. His family owned a farm in Oregon that I would go and visit every couple years. So I'd still keep up with them and see him. Well, down the line, this is damn near 7, 8 years or so after we had met and all that. I'm down in California. Basically, I was with this girl. She cheats on me, runs off with credit card debt, and leaves me basically fucking high and dry. And I'm like in my car for about a week, like, all right, what the fuck? I didn't tell my parents either. I literally had dropped out, didn't tell them, because I had an academic scholarship. Like, I was good in school, even though I didn't care about school. I just gifted sort of thing. But I'm like, what the fuck am I gonna do? He hits me up. He's like, oh, I just got back from Monaco with my dad. I don't know what the fuck Monaco is at this time. So now I'm looking back like, all right, like this is crazy. We end up pulling up to his house. He lived in Calabasas. I don't know if you know what Calabasas is.
Prestigious,
like $20 million house, a fucking vineyard, like shit I've never seen in my entire life. And back to like opening my mind, that was a pivotal moment for me in seeing success because, you know, yeah, I had dropped out of school and I was like living in a hotel with this girl and whatever. And I was in LA, but I didn't know anyone. Like I couldn't touch someone who's really successful at that time. You know, I didn't have that in my network. But I had this kid who was my friend and he took me and he said, hey, why don't you come stay with me? So I come and stay with him. I'm in the guest house. You know, this guest house is like bigger than the house I grew up in. Like I grew up in an $80,000 condo. Like I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm looking at this pool and just gorgeous. And, you know, he's in high school with all these kids, you know, celebrity type kids. And I'm like, this is crazy. But he's so genuine, such a good guy. His family like treats me like family. I'm, you know, helping out with yard work. I'm like doing as much as I feel like I can to like pay my stay because I didn't
providing value because you're getting a ton of value and you're like
how am I gonna repay this? Yeah,
I need to keep my stay here. They can't kick me out.
Yeah, no, exactly. And so but then they end up convincing me to go back to school. But that was kind of like, you know, after about 6 months of me living there. But the key time in between that was seeing what is possible. He worked at the Malibu Tennis Club, this kid. And so like we would go to the tennis club, you know,
more people.
I mean, I would see like Lamborghinis, Ferraris, Bentleys, all this stuff. I mean, dude, I'm from Salmon Creek. Like there was no fucking, same sort of like even.
They're welcome.
Oh, like, yeah. So like you're, yeah. So you're like, what the fuck? So it opened my entire mind up to seeing, okay, this is real. Like these are all real people. And I was with a kid who was like a genuine friend. Like I looked at him like my brother, you know? So we're in the same age. I'm the youngest of 5. So like I'm the youngest and my oldest sibling's 40, you know, like, wow. So he's way out the way from me, like as far as like just being friends, like brothers, you know? So it was like, okay, wow, I got a good friend and his family is treating me so well. And I was like, this is just such an eye opener. But the biggest thing was his dad, he owned a bunch of wind turbines. So he owned a wind turbine business, a lot. I don't know what the exact percentage was. He owned a fucking lot of them. And it was near Palm Springs area. And one time he took us down to where all the wind turbines were. And he was telling me about how he was like, you know, you can trade energy and you can, you know, and you should invest in energy stocks. And so he started getting me into like, ET was like the first stock that I got in was an energy transfer that they paid dividends. So he's teaching me about dividends, about how you can make a lot of money from dividends and call options, basically where you're,
I know. I
yeah.
Do that.
So
sell contracts.
Sell contracts, but he was doing it with like 100, 200 grand at a time, you know, and he like, I mean, like I saw numbers on the portfolio when he's just chilling, having coffee. And he's like, yeah, you know, just made 20 grand on this, 50 grand on this. Like, you know, 5 minutes, yeah, like whatever. And like, and the guy's so smart. He was also a lawyer and his wife was a teacher and a lawyer. Like they were very smart and he came from nothing. He started it all with a duplex in California, you know, and then ran it up. Yeah. So he had a very like from nothing story. I think he saw a lot of himself in me, which is why he took a liking to me.
He relate to you.
Yeah. And so I didn't put that all together until later on, obviously, because at the time I'm just a kid. You know, now at 25, I can be like, all right, I can sit back and be like, that was really amazing and lucky, really, because, you know, the universe, and this is why I parlay back to relationships are more important. If I would have never gone to that camp, if I would have never just made friends with the kid who was there, talking to him, if I would have been like, you know, he's not from where I'm from, you know, some closed-minded activity, I would then not have seen all this. So anyways, he's teaching me about basic Warren Buffett style stuff, but with a little twist with the call options and, you know, kind of getting into like, you know, futures a little bit in some of our discussions. And I just started implementing the couple $1,000s that I had, right? I had a little bit of money. I was flipping shoes, just hustling, you know, trying to figure it out, you know what I mean? Trying to make some money. And to me, like if I was making a couple of G's a month from flipping shoes, whatever I could do. I flipped couches solo, like I've tried everything. I was like, okay, great. I can now put it into something that's going to grow. And that was the big thing for me was like, I can go work. I can work a job. I can hustle, whatever, but I need something that's going to work for me. That's what I really initially loved so much about it. And seeing the fruits of what that can bring because he's showing me in real time. That is what really opened my mind. So now the second piece is the crazier piece. So after I come back from college a second time, I end up flying to Port St. Lucie.
Okay.
I met this kid on Instagram who was like, he was like friends with Lil Peep, like, yeah, like he was in the music game. So like at the time I was really focused on music because I like wanted to be a rapper. Like that's like, I don't know, that's all I wanted to be. I thought of like everything else is like make money to then pour into rap and pour into music because I mean, that's what I was into. So I'm staying with this kid, but this is where it all comes together later on about how me getting on Instagram at 15 and starting to build my page and starting to connect with people outside of my town is what has changed my life forever. Just that one move that I made is what changed the game. And so I end up getting here. I'm wearing a V-Lone off-white shirt. I don't know if you guys remember.
I do it.
This was the first drop ever. My buddy, who actually went to fashion school, he's an up-and-coming designer, great guy. His family had some money. They flew to Paris to go to the first ever. Yeah, so like he was like my rich friend. To do the off-white V-Lone first ever, the first one. Yeah, like literally, like this is before Virgil was like who he was.
Were they like in a private, like a VIP?
Some shit like that. There was only one size large that they had in this V-Lone off-white shirt. He gets it for me. I spend like the couple $100 I had, pay him for it. But that t-shirt, I wear it on Palm Beach, on like where the strip is, where the clubs are. And I'm with my friend who I was staying with. He's older than me. He has a car. He's like, I want to take you, show you what the club's like, whatever. So we're going down. We're walking. We're looking at this. I'm like 18 and a half. I'm like, dude, this is crazy. Like girls, like, you know, like, whoa, like this is like party.
The lifestyle.
Yeah, the lifestyle. I'm like, cars, like, whoa. And we're driving like a bullshit Honda Civic. Like he's like, this guy I'm with too is like a complete like drug addict. Like he's off the fucking rails. But so we're walking and this guy comes up to me. He's like, yo, I like your shirt. Come to my table. And so we end up coming to his table and he's with this kid who had just made a couple $1 million in crypto. This is like at the end of what had been the run in 2017. He bought Ethereum.
The bull run?
Yeah, the first big bull run that happened that kind of hit the news because there's a lot of kids made a bunch of money.
Yeah.
Bitcoin hit 20,000. It was like, holy shit, you know, and then it obviously cascaded down. But he's telling me all this at the table and I'm like, dude, I'm like kind of halfway, like not believing him. But I'm only like listening really because of the conversations I have with my friend's dad. So I'm like open to the information, but it's still so much. I'm like,
you know that it's real, but you're just like, this kid, like,
I'm like, millionaire?
No.
He's my age. He was like, I think he was like 19 or maybe 20 at the time. I'm like, what the fuck? I was like, nah, he's a drug dealer. I was like, yeah, 100% he's a drug dealer. But he wasn't. And so, but the kid, Jordan, who ended up introducing me to this guy, that guy ended up not even being a connection of mine. What been the connection was the guy who picked me up off the street and walked me in. No ID, nothing, to the club, and then bring me in the environment, the lifestyle, the success, the young money that was happening and real in the world. And I was like, okay, this is a game changer. We start staying connected, Snapchat, talking, Instagram, right? He's telling me about crypto. He's like nerded out, but he's older than me. You know, he's probably like 22, 23 at the time, and he's day trading. I'm seeing him like, you know, make $1,000 in a day. And I'm like, oh, this is crazy. I moved back to LA, get my own place. I was like right off Sunset in Hollywood. I had this loft, fucking dude, $2,000 a month. And like, I maybe had $5,000 in my name at the time when I put down on it. Like I was like fucking nothing to my name. I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to just get the apartment, get it, and things are going to happen. Back against the wall. Like I said earlier, I don't know what's going to happen, but I trust that I'm going to be able to figure it out.
You know what I think? You position yourself in a situation where you just have to put your mind to work. Because most of the people, they rely on a company that they already have everything figured out. It's a system where you just have to follow instructions.
I just mindlessly walk in and...
At this point, you have to figure it out. So you put your mind to work. It's like, I have to get up, get out there, and get the bread.
Yeah, like, no, I literally got to get up and figure it out. And like, my whole thing was like, I never wanted to work for anyone because I knew since I was a kid, I'll tell this story just to parlay it. My dad, it's funny, he always says this now. He always brings the story up about how when I was in 5th grade, he knew I would be successful forever. He stopped worrying about me because I was really into yo-yoing, right? And this is a weird story, but I like everything I do, I get so into it. I dial so focused into it and try to become the best at it. So I got really great at yo-yoing and I'm making all of it cool. So all the kids are like, oh, like I want to get into yo-yoing. I'm like, I can sell you strings. My dad bought me 100 strings. I don't need 100 strings. He paid $10, he told me, for those 100 strings. I sold him $5 a piece.
No.
Bro, so I'm sitting there.
If you bought them, you would have made a bunch of profit.
Yeah, so I come home because what I really wanted was this like Yu-Gi-Oh thing where you like strapped it to the arm. And I don't know if you did that shit, but I love Yu-Gi-Oh. So I was like, oh, I want the fucking arm piece with the cards and like I'm gonna look badass. You know, like that's like that was like what I wanted to, but he wasn't gonna pay for it. I didn't have the fucking money. So I was like, okay, cool. I'll sell yo-yo strings. So the entrepreneur spirit that's been in me since I was a kid, you know, this find a product, sell it, hustling from everything. Like, you know, it doesn't matter if it's yo-yo strings, a fucking dime bag, fucking shoes, didn't matter. I was like, I'm going to figure it out and I can buy and sell. Same thing with trading, same thing with real estate.
I was about to say, like, if you think about it as trading, it's just, you're trading.
Yeah, like, no, and that's the funniest thing is, like, as I got more in depth in learning about trading, you know, back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, you know, before computerization really took over, it was motherfuckers like, hey, yo, I got this for this. There's a guy on the chalkboard fucking writing shit up.
Like the Wall Street movie.
Yeah.
On the phone, like, okay, we printed out all this paper.
Yeah, here's
the contracts. Send them out.
Yeah, send it out. Yeah, exactly.
And it may take like even longer. Now it's a click.
No, yeah, because the market data, like back then, the lag was crazy. Like when I sit and think about it, I'm like, God, the discrepancy was out of this fucking world.
Yeah.
You know, like people were like, yeah, it's 12 and a quarter. And then by the time they send it up, it's fucking, you know, 11.50. Like, oh shit. Like, you know, like you don't really know because there's no accurate automated representation. But as far as back to what happened with Jay. So Jay introduced me. I moved back to LA. I got my own place. And his dad owned a bunch of Jamaican restaurants in the Valley. So Jay was this Jamaican cat from, you know, West Palm, club promoter. Like, I always thought he was cool. You know, he was with the girls. Even when I found out on Snapchat we were talking, I'm like, man, he's living the good life. You know, driving a BMW, drop top. Like, I was like, oh, he's lit. And so we end up coming into contact. He moves down to help his dad out with his restaurant. So he ends up coming over to my house all the time, my first apartment I had. And he's just showing me how to day trade futures. He's scalping. So scalping's like 1 minute, 5 minute. You're in and out super fast, which I thought was crazy because I'm like, dude, he's literally showing me he deposits $100 and he's pulling out 500 or 1,000 or on a crazy day $2K off $100. Like he was
crazy.
Dude, he's really good. One of the best that I've ever met. But his problem was he's always all in guy, which is one thing that I also like to tell everyone: learn from other people's mistakes. Right? Take the knowledge and take what they're giving you, but then figure out how it works best for you. Because me following his strategy was the best thing and the worst thing for me. It was the best thing because it introduced me to day trading and trading every day and not thinking about trading as investing fundamentally, which I had been taught, which actually then turned into a superpower once I combined both of them. But his style of scalping wasn't really most profitable for me. I ended up losing like 15, 20 grand over the course of like 2 years, my first 2 years.
Because you were going on
it? Well, because I was going off his strategy and it didn't work for my psychology. Because like I was so used to my fundamental analysis, waiting a week, a month, a year, having a very long-term projection on the market. And it wasn't necessarily so technical and it wasn't so fast. I mean, with the minute, you know, in 5, it's like, you're like, holy shit. It feels like you're gambling. I was like, it doesn't feel like investing anymore. Like, it feels like
gambling like a meme coin. Right?
Yeah, it's exactly. So I was like, oh man, this is tough. But he was like patterns. He knew what patterns to look for and his time frame to get in and out. So it wasn't gambling. But to me at the time, that's how it felt because I wasn't attuned to what pattern to look for. You know, he was telling me and showing me, but it wasn't clicking yet. So anyways, it really just introduces me to a day trader life where you're waking up at the market open, you're looking at news, you're looking at a chart pattern, you're trying to figure out when you can go in there and snipe the kill shot for 5 minutes, 15 minutes, get your money and get out. And, you know, I'm like, all right, this is dope. Still, you know, learning how to trade at the time, I'm basically break even. I'm having good days, bad days. It's up and fucking down. But what had saved me was the fundamental. So he's teaching me about crypto and telling me all about this 2018. I start taking the hustler money instead of investing into energy transfer and, you know, all the dividend stocks, AT&T. Like I was literally like the basic, you know, I was like, yeah, I was like, you know what? I was like, I start researching because everything I do, I dive full in. I start researching crypto. I'm like, oh, wow, this is like very revolutionary. Like the actual technology, and we'll come to this later too on why I think it's kind of fucked now. But the technology of itself, I believed in. So I was a believer in the product. I was a believer in blockchain. Yeah, I was one of those nuts who was like, wow, like some kid in Africa doesn't have to, he can have a cell phone and the currency of the country can't inflate to dog shit. He can send money anywhere in the world, no problems. That's valuable. Right. And then that was just with Bitcoin. And then with Ethereum, I was like, okay, there's all these different business solutions they're creating, all these subcontracts that are happening. And I was like, this is a really powerful solution. So I just bought it and invested it because I was like, it's very undervalued compared to the high that it hit in 2017, December or whatever. I was like, wow, this is good value. You know, my first buys on ETH were like 110 and I scaled down to like 90, $80, like at the lowest when COVID crash happened. I was trading at the COVID crash. And so I was, dude, like that was the single best investment that took me forever was ETH. because I had scaled in from, sub $200 and sold at, $3K, but I just held that investment until 2021 at the height, and then I had sold it. But during that time, I'm learning how to day trade. So like what I do now, right, with trading, doing the algorithm, all this stuff, that has all the years of me looking at the screen, making money, losing money, making money, losing money, not really having anything to show for it on the day side.
It's paying off now.
It's paying off now because of the time. But the thing that paid off from the beginning was what I initially learned, which is fundamental. So whenever people ask me like, hey, should I get into day trading? I'm like, look, you should get into learning about why the company is working. Why is it valued at the price it's valued at now? Am I getting a good price for this asset? And how long do I expect to hold this for me to see a decent return? Not some outrageous fucking meme coin return. No. How can I just put my money somewhere where I know it's going to grow steadily and that's better than just throwing the S&P? That's trading still, but you're just giving yourself more time. You're giving yourself more reasons to be inside of the trade because you're looking at the company's financials. You're looking at the product they have. You're looking at the price to market cap and where you're getting in now versus where it's been in the past and where you see it going in the future. Day trading in itself is a fucking tough game. It's a shootout with the most smartest people and fucking computers. You're playing against literally AI. You have to understand you're getting into something that is very, very uphill battle from the jump as far as day trading. But investing,
it's funny because
it's the best thing ever.
Most of the people, they get into trades now because of FOMO, because of fear of missing out.
Yeah.
Because you see the news, the crypto, this meme coin or whatever, and like, listen, the people are actually making profit. They already made their money.
They're already
in, and these people are about to sell.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
People don't realize it's a player versus player game. Like every time you sell, there's a guy buying it on the other side of you. So, he's got to see value in further profits for you to even be able to sell it to him. And so that's why it's very funny how people forget all that. But that time in my life, from living with my friends, family, to then meeting the kid on the street, like, dude, all that stuff is just God ordained. I had I didn't choose that. There was no strategy. Like, oh, I'm going to go and meet some of these guys. Like, oh, I'm going to find this guy on Instagram, go take him to coffee. Nah, dude, you just operating out of abundance and that mindset of I'm going to figure it out. And I have faith that things are going to be better than where they are now. That's simple thing enough. God will bring you all the right people that you need in your life. And then as long as you're open to the information and you actually take the steps forward to make it a reality, it's going to happen. It's just going to take time. It's not going to be a year. It's not going to be 6 months. It might even be fucking 2-3 years, but definitely 5 years, 10 years down the line, you're going to see why taking that first step forward and just compiling those small wins will build you into the life that you want. But it's never over. Like even now, I'm 9 years in from the time I started talking about investing and really getting into it at 15. 9 years in, I've made a couple million, lost a couple million, had to start back up, gone into tons of different businesses. And I know it's still the beginning. I know that I got so much ammo left, so much to learn. So I'm still an infant. I talk to these guys, like, a guy in my building, he's a bonds trader for a major bank out here. And, I'm learning the whole different side of the market, from the institution side. And I'm learning, his ideas. And we're discussing, future economic things that might happen in America and how it could affect different markets, real estate included. And so this is like, the constant learning and the constant student is such an important piece of all this too. And a lot of times, kids that'll come in, especially kids I meet in Miami for some reason, they're like, they hit big on one thing one time and they think they know everything. They think they know it all and that their word is literally above all else. And they don't want to listen. But that a year, 2 years, 3 years down the line is what ends up biting them in the ass and they have to restart.
I could tell you why that happens, and it's because of the ego.
Yeah.
They get their ego in front and they believe they're the shit. They believe they know it all. Because they hate one thing you said. And the thing is, that way they will go back down and they are not learning.
No.
The idea of getting the ego out of the side is just like, you need to learn every day. It doesn't matter if you just make $1 million yesterday. Like today's a new day and you just gotta come from zero. That way you can keep growing. If not, you're gonna get lucky again and lose again and get lucky again and lose again.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like it came from a place too for me, which is why like people ask me all the time, what meme coin this? I don't trade the meme. I don't do that shit. The trade that I took 2 trades this crypto run and I'm done. I'm out. One was Render and that was at 50 cents. I bought it a year and a half ago, maybe a little bit more than that. I have to look at my timestamps, but I was listening to a podcast because the people I listen to, this is another thing you guys got to make sure who you're listening to and who you're learning shit from is very important. So this podcast I watched called the All In podcast, and it's with this very famous Indian investor and a couple of his friends. And he was like an early guy working at Facebook, ended up getting stock shares in Facebook. Obviously that did well. Got into Bitcoin early in like 2011. I think he owned, don't quote me exactly, like 1 million BTC at one point. Yeah, this guy was already multimillionaire. He was in when Bitcoin was dollars, literally.
He figured opportunity at the right time.
But this guy's maybe, I think, early 40s. You know, he's a part owner in the Warriors. You know what I mean? Like, he's a multi-billionaire. So I'm listening to him, and they're discussing Render, because this guy they brought on, his friend named Vinny, he's like a big crypto guy. And so I was listening. I'm like, oh, Render, what is it? They're like, well, it can process video games on a bullshit laptop. That's essentially what it means, is what the product was. It's like, say you're in, you know, Malaysia, and you have like, you know, fucking some kid, he's got $100 laptop, but he wants to play World of Warcraft or something. He can now run it on the cloud GPU with render service, and it'll render the game fast enough for him to play it. And I thought, wow, that's value. So I look at the price, I'm like, 50 cents. Fuck, it was $3 in the run. And oh no, it was, I think it was all-time high was maybe 8. I have to double check, but it's way down. Everything else is way down. I'm like, oh, I'm just going to buy because I believe in it. It ends up doing, I don't know, like a 20x or something. I sold it at $10.
Nice.
I'm pretty sure that's a 20x. Having to calculate here. But I was out. I was like, okay, I made 20. I'm good. I'm done. Dude, my return, people are like so greedy and shit nowadays too. It's like, dude, they never want to sell, and then they end up losing it. I'm like, you motherfucker. Like, I talk to these guys.
They're green. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, these guys are older, and I tell them about like returns I made, and I show them my statements and shit, and they're like, dude, you realize like no one is getting those returns? Like, the fact that you even do a 5x is retarded. Even a 2x. Like, if you can double, because this is the truth, if you can just double your money once a year, bro, in 10 years, you'll be a millionaire with $1,000. Imagine you start with 100 grand. Crazy. You'll be a multi-millionaire, if not a billionaire. Like, people don't understand, like, the power of the double is so big. That's why I'm so glad that I started with that traditional mindset, because I learned, okay, people are looking at dividend returns. People are looking at, like, you know, 10% a year is like a banging year, you know? So like that kind of mindset allowed me to be more, I don't want to say humble with it, but more conscientious of the fact that if I just double my money, or, you know, even for fuck's sakes, 20x, take the shit. Take it, because, dude, like, why not? It's only real when you take the money and put it in your account. That's what otherwise it's just numbers on a fucking screen, and it could go down tomorrow 50% or it could go up. But you don't want to keep chasing, right? It's about being abundant. God's blessed me, right? I made a great decision. Now I've made a return. Let me take it home. Right. And then the other trade I made was on GRT, which was a coin I bought at 21 cents. I sold at 35. Made a good percentage, but I didn't, you know, not a double.
Coin. I think I heard of it.
Yeah, it's another like AI type of coin, but this is outside the realm of what everyone's talking about. You see, everyone's talking about fucking Job coin, Bode, whatever the fuck, right? The stupid names with the meme coin shit. But the problem is that they're just gambling. I literally, shit you not, I had a friend who was staying with his parents. Thank God he's good now, but he put $1 in to a coin, I forget what, I'll remember the name, in December, right when the SPL token started popping off. I literally watched him turn to 20 bands overnight. He didn't take it. I'm like, dude, you could get an apartment. You could get an apartment. You and your girl can be good for at least 6 months.
So stupid.
Like, what? And he didn't take it, wrote it back all the way down to like 2 G's and sold. And I'm like, dude, like, this is the problem. It's the mentality. From $1. Like, it's not a joke. $1
I believe,
USD.
I believe it, because somebody sat in that same shirt, and he was a crypto millionaire. We had a podcast.
Yep.
And he run a project. He had a friend that put $100 and he got out like 30 grand. And I was like, insane. And he run the project. He was the one, the developer.
Yeah.
He did it. And I was like, wow, like, it's just really insane in the world that we live in right now. Like, you can take an opportunity, get into a meme coin, whatever, early, because you know somebody.
Right. And
you just made 100 grand.
Yeah.
By knowing somebody.
Yeah. And putting $100, which you would have spent at fucking Publix. Like,
and that's the world that we're living right now.
Yeah. But the problem is the mindset that it's putting a lot of kids in, because for every one winner, there's 99 other fucking losers. Yeah. You know, people that didn't take their money and run. And that's why I don't fuck with it. I don't trade it. I don't recommend people to do it. But that's because I want to teach people how to be around for the long term. Because investing is a skill set that you can have until you're fucking 85, 95, until you're like Joe Biden, you're like, you can't fucking Ford Motor, like until you're like that, like you can continue. It's like golf, right? Like, so you can always do it. But the key is finding undervalued companies, undervalued assets, putting your money in it, having a long-term perspective. And then day trading is a sub-skill that I look at as an income skill, right? Investing is a storage of wealth and a multiplication of it over a long period of time. But day trading is an income tool. It takes time to develop an income asset. And when it comes to trading in and of itself, you're risking capital. So it's directly your money on the line, or a company's money, or whatever the case is, or client's money. And that's has a much bigger weight to it. So you can't be fucking around. And especially with a lot of these kids, they come in the game now with the meme coins because it's such easy entry, and they have $1,000 in their name. That's it. So instead of learning, investing in education, getting around other people that are going to teach them the actual fundamentals to be successful, they launch it into whatever they see online, where it's already too late. Everyone's already dumping on your ass, by the way. And now you're going to launch it and lose all your money, and now you have a bad taste in your mouth. But the one key point that I want to really say here that I've been saying to a couple close friends is I think we're going to look back in 5 years, and the number one cool thing about this whole meme coin thing is the tech behind it. Now you're like, what the fuck does that mean?
The easy access to invest on something, because like this kid actually run up his project to 8 million market cap.
Yeah,
and
that's small.
It's small, but still for a kid, he's 19 years old.
Yeah.
How a 19-year-old can like?
I mean, yeah,
how can do that?
That's what I mean, because of liquidity. But what the point I'm trying to make is this: is like, say you have a normal business, the amount of paperwork and bullshit you got to go through to IPO in the stock market is, dude, it's like in mountains. It's so hard. So now, like, let's say I have a small business, right? Or let's just say your real estate business, right? And you want people to invest into, your bookmaking company or your furniture company, or you have lawn business, whatever it is. Any small business now can have its own stock and investors, and people can invest in you. And they can have shares that are going to go up and down in value, and they can support your business with capital in a easy onboarding process that takes less than a fucking day to do. And there's no paperwork, there's nothing. It's dude, like launching a coin, a fucking 2-year-old could do it. It's literally a couple clicks of a button. You put in $1,000, you distribute the shares, and that's it. But now you can do it for actual businesses. But everyone's so focused on chasing fast returns and gamble money that they're missing what the value is. And the value is that now anyone can start a business, and anyone can have investors invest into their business and hold value inside of that company, and then be with you for the ride for it to go up in value. Whereas the traditional route to do that before with IPO in the stock market, there's a million requirements. You have to already pretty much be a big company. But now some small guy can have his own, car detailing business, and say he's got, 50 friends that want to invest in his company. Now they can do it on the blockchain, and there's no problem. There's no mountains of paperwork, and they get to hold the value in it, and they can make some money too while helping you out. So that's the true value there. That I think people in 5 to 10 years are going to look back, and they're going to say that's what the big shift was. Not launching the next Trump coin or the next dog with fuck whatever coin, which is great. And I love that kids are doing that. I think it's awesome. And if I had the brain psychology to be able to find those projects to win at that level, then I would. But for me, because I come from the traditional background, I'm, looking at the tech, I'm looking at their product, I'm looking at the actual value to market cap, I'm looking at the traditional shit, which has done very well. I mean, 25x is good returns in a year and a half, but it's really good returns. So, it may not be, took fucking a band to 3 million in a week off of meme coin, but who cares? I mean, like, I don't give a shit. I'm playing a 100-year game. This guy I met in Miami through my partner who does real estate. Really smart guy. He actually created a solution for rockets. Can't speak too much about it, but guy's like next level. He told me, Dylan, he's like, I'm playing $1 trillion game. And that was the first person to ever look me in my eyes, dead serious, tell me they're playing $1 trillion game. It takes a long time. And then I was like, I was asking him, like, how long? He's like, it's going to take hundreds of years. I'm going to be dead gone. But that's the level at which he's thinking about life, and the level at which he's thinking about business, the level at which he thinks about the things he's investing in. And that's how I approach it, because at the end of the day, I want something that's going to be around long gone me, long gone my kids, long gone my kids' kids, that people are going to remember you for. And that's Because money's energy. Why is Elon Musk the richest fucking guy? Because he's doing the biggest things that could change the world. He's inputting so much energy to make so much change for billions of people's lives. And that's why he's collected so much money. You know, not a couple million. Anyone can make a couple million. But if you're going to really be a billionaire, you have to change the world.
You got to be out of your mind. You know?
Yeah.
I don't know what's your religion, but the other day at
Christianity.
church, same. So the other day at church, this guy, the pastor, he was just speaking like, if you are going to believe in God and you're going to believe in yourself and your projects and this crazy stuff that goes into your thoughts, like, you just got to be out of your mind to make it happen.
Yeah.
The only way.
Yeah. Well, and you know what I think is interesting too is I honestly feel like, back to what we were talking about earlier, the open-mindedness to believe you're crazy enough to be the guy to do it. Mm-hmm. You know, fucking Elon, dude, this guy like basically drops out of college and he's like, I'm going to jump on the internet wave. Kind of like kids that are jumping on the crypto wave now.
But you know, when he dropped out of college, he dropped out with a bunch of smart people creating this Tesla idea. That's how it was. It was an idea. And and he tried out with so smartest people. He got the smartest people in the room.
Yeah.
He put them all together because he got the plan, he got the idea.
Yeah.
And like, that's how you do it.
That's how you do it. Like, that's why, you know, back to relationships are worth more than money. Because when you identify people who are on the same path as you and you get around them, you guys may not all be doing the same shit, but you guys can all be pieces on the fucking chessboard to help execute the move to fucking win the game, right? And so like when Elon dropped out of college and he went to go create X.com, which transitioned to PayPal, right? That's basically revolutionizing online banking in a new way that no one's ever seen, that now millions and millions and billions of people are going to be able to send money back and forth, and it's an online bank. At that time, it was such a big idea, and the guys that were involved, I can't quote them name off the top of my head, but I know that they were involved in many other big tech startups that would go on to be massive billion-dollar companies. But at such a young age, before they were even at that level, he identified those people who had that crazy belief, who are taking the action to fucking get there, and then got them together and said, hey, you could do this, I'll do this, you do that. And that's how business fucking works. And that's how billion-dollar businesses are born. You know, it's not born from, you know, oh, like, I'm the best at this and I'm going to do it all by myself and, you know, this and that. And it's not some small idea. You know, it can be simple, but it's not small. The effect is massive.
Yeah, the thing when you do it by yourself is that you can go fast.
Yeah.
But with the whole team, you can go far.
You can go far.
As big as your idea is, like, right now he's building rockets. He wants to go to Mars. Like, what the hell? Like, he's thinking about going to Mars.
And he's like, fuck NASA, I'm fucking doing it. You know, and like, you know,
his idea is even bigger than NASA.
Yeah,
you know, and
yeah,
we're talking about the government.
Yeah, they print the money.
Exactly. Like, if they have all the control and all the money and supposedly all the people,
all the power,
people,
yeah,
exactly.
The smartest people, yeah.
How is this guy doing it? Because
his vision.
Yeah, his vision, his mindset is he's just a different.
He's a different.
He's like an alien.
Yeah, no, well, you know, the thing is too, he's a big student. He I can tell he learns from not only other successful people, but past, even deep history. And that's what history in school was always my favorite subject, because it's patterns. Just the same thing. We keep looping it back. It's patterns, because when you can identify patterns, then you can be able to get ahead of it. Mm-hmm. And when you can get ahead of it and you can get ahead of it before other people, that's how you can find value. There's a really good book. It's called The Blue Ocean Strategy. I don't know. You know. I recommend everybody right now.
Yeah.
Pause the video, go watch and read an audiobook, whatever. Blue Ocean Strategy. It's so good. It's literally so good. It changes the game, because you know, a lot of people, what they do is they follow a business that's working. Someone who's like, all right, I want to start a business. They see a guy, say he's doing, you know, trading, say he's doing real estate, and they'll just go try to copy paste. No. You have your own unique edge as a person. Like, I'm uniquely different than he is, than she is. And that's what's so beautiful, is that God made us all different. So use that. Use those different, it can be little small things about yourself, how you carry yourself in the room, how you dress, how you talk, right? Your ideas that you have uniquely. That's what's going to be able to separate you, and implementing that inside of your business is what's going to make it better, because truthfully, almost no ideas are really original, and most people are dime a dozen. And so if you can be a little bit different and you can get people to believe in you, for you, fuck the product, for you, then you're going to be able to smash your competitors away. And that's kind of in a more simplified, easy, direct way, blue ocean strategy, I would say.
Yeah, that book will teach you how to find opportunities, because if in an ocean there's sharks, and what everybody's doing is just sharks biting each other. So it's all red. It's all red.
Yeah.
And you just need to find the blue part of the ocean where there is not so many competitors, and when there is more room for you to grow, more room for you to scale.
Yeah.
And I would definitely recommend it for everybody to read it.
Yeah, it's really great. And I think and the kid I was telling you about that did the rockets, he actually sent me that. So he sent me that, and he was like, you should read this. Because we would have business conversations all the time about things I was doing, and he'd always take it to another level. Like I remember I was doing solar 2 years ago because I was building myself back up. I really wanted to get entrenched in sales. I wanted to get entrenched in how sales businesses work. I didn't give a shit how it was. I wanted to get better at talking to people, better at speaking, more confident, because I had gone through a rough patch betting on one of my crazy ideas with the money I made from crypto. I wanted to make an animated TV show, like a more raunchy Boondocks, essentially was the idea. And change the advertising model. And the studio I partnered with, they were like, we'll only do it if you fund it. I end up fucking myself, whatever, right? But so I come back and I'm like, all right, this is an opportunity to learn something new. This is an opportunity to get better in life. This is an opportunity to be able to accept the blessings of what I was going for to achieve anyways.
Correct.
So now I'm like, all right, what can I do? Get into sales, get into digital marketing, getting into different products and businesses, learning real estate, learning all this shit. I end up getting a solar. I'm talking to this guy, and this is just how people's brain works. He's one of the smartest people. I eventually, if he'd be open to it, get him on the podcast. But he was telling me, he's like, what we should do is we should go to these small towns in America, and we should get in with the politicians there and start passing bills to basically only allow our company to be able to monopolize on it. And I'm thinking about just building a team and just going door to door. And he's like, let's go even deeper. We're going to get into politics. He's like, maybe take a year to get everything on the board and all this. He's thinking on some next level shit. And just in an hour call that we had, but he's one of those guys, every time I get on the phone with him, I'm like, okay, my mind's about to open to a new level, and he's going to come and attack whatever I'm doing and give me ideas and inspiration to go even further. And those are the kind of people that I love to talk with, right? Too many people I think are especially people who are doing successful, that are young, that are successful whenever they're doing, they get around a lot of guys who aren't as successful, but they're just yes men in them.
Or they have these shiny objects.
Yeah.
They all go around by the shiny
by the car, by the watch, by this, it's not about the idea. It's not about changing the world. It's not about how much bigger can we build the thing. And that's why I'm so great. Now I drive a nicer car and I got less money than I did 3 years ago, but I push myself because how I told my stepdad, I said, dude, I gotta want to wake up and enjoy it. I was just looking at numbers on a screen for a year straight. When I had finally made a couple mil, and I was just so fucking scared to lose it. I was so scared to fuck it up. But I only wanted to keep reinvesting in ideas, in my vision to be a billionaire. I actually want to do that. That's actually what I want to do. So I'm I need to use the capital as a soldier to fucking go out in the field for my ideas that it can make happen. Funny idea, and this is I'm sure you've experienced this. When I go back, say, no idea is really your own because it's a collective consciousness. I had an idea in 2019, right before COVID, the beginning. I'm like, why don't we do, because I'm researching China, and we're talking about how they're using WeChat and QR codes and how this is a massive thing that's happening and we're completely missing it. I'm like, why don't we go to, start with your dad's restaurant. We build a menu off a QR code, and then we could start a business where we go restaurant to restaurant and build QR code menus for them. Fucking a year later, COVID happens and it's already implemented, right? And then we thought of it a year earlier. We started with his dad's restaurant, and we were going to had a couple under our business, but it's just that idea we ended up, I was like, oh, I'm focused on trading, but these seeds that come to you, these ideas that come to you, you have to step on it and execute it. Even if you don't have the money, people are too caught up in, I need this, I need that to make this happen. Bullshit. All you need is to be able to fucking throw your nuts on the table, right foot in front of the other, and make it happen.
And have somebody to believe in you. Somebody, the resource.
Exactly.
Because all you need is the idea and the balls to get it.
Yeah.
And somebody to believe in you.
And and someone to believe in you is a great thing too. And I learned this lesson when I invested in my fucking animated show, is always use other people's money, right? If I can get someone to believe in me, some guy who's worth 100 mil doesn't care about investing $1 million. He's like, whatever, I believe in this kid.
They invest 1% of their whole net worth.
Exactly. And so it's a chip for them out in the field to maybe make them another 100 mil, right? But for me, if I'm putting all my money on the line for the idea, I got balls for it, but fucking kind of stupid. So I learned that lesson, and who taught me it originally was actually my friend's dad. He was like, OPM, always use other people's money. Yeah. And really, he was talking mostly about banks. and using the bank's money and using credit and, using leverage in that sense. But so true.
That's a big business.
Oh yeah.
Where you get OPM from the bank, right? And if the idea goes wrong, you go bankrupt.
Yeah.
What's the worst that can happen? What's the worst?
Literally.
Not you're going back.
Not going to jail. Not going to jail. No.
At the end of the day, you need to understand that America is a whole corporation.
Yeah.
And you need to run the business. You need to know how a business is. It works because it's a corporation. You need to know how to run it.
Yeah.
Have different entities.
100%.
Get OPM from each entity.
Yeah.
And run different ideas.
100%.
Invest in real estate. Invest here.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Yeah. No. And they don't teach this shit in school.
Not at all.
And especially if you're from somewhere like we're from, where it's like this isn't just like normal, right? Like people borrow money from banks and making millions of dollars. Like it's not a normal thing. So it's not even in the conversation realm as you're growing up. You have to attack the knowledge, and thank God we have this. I mean, it's just such a blessing now that you literally have access to a Harvard education for free, and you just won't take the action to learn it. And not saying you have to get a whole business degree or anything, but if you want to learn some shit, you can fucking learn it. You just have to put your head down and stay focused and get off TikTok, and you're gonna be good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're gonna be fucking good. But most people can't even do that. And that's what fucks me up sometimes, because I don't know, but you've probably tried to do this. You try to help so many people, but they can't help themselves.
No.
And truthfully, if they really wanted it, they would fucking get on the phone, they would get on the computer, and they would start taking action.
They will start becoming the best version every day. Because for me, I'm gonna talk a little about myself.
Yeah.
I believe we're in a game. I'm writing a book,
100%.
and it's all about a game.
Yeah.
So if you play the game by being a student, you're always gonna learn, and always gotta take the ego out of the side and learn from everyone, even your students.
Yep.
Because it's all about patterns, and patterns are everywhere. So that's one thing. And then the other one is you gotta become 1% better every single day. 1% is nothing, but it's so much in the long run.
Yeah.
That's why people need to start thinking in the long run. Not about right now. Delay gratification. Delay the pleasure that you want to get right now, so you can have the pleasure later with your family, with whoever you want, like, to build that empire with. So
I feel like
that's what I think.
It's the old saying. It's like, you got to plant seeds for tomorrow. Gardens don't grow in a day. They really don't. You like us doing this podcast. This is maybe the second podcast I've ever done. But I hit you up. I was like, yeah, let's do a podcast, because in my mind, I'm like, all right, I wrote a whole document. I need to start putting out more content, start talking about my ideas publicly on camera, start having people, come and understand.
Outside.
Yeah, get the energy out there, expend the energy, expend the information, because it's free, and it's only going to benefit, obviously, me and my family for coming out here and speaking my mind and helping other people, right? But coming out and doing the podcast is a step forward, a seed. I'm not jumping on, fucking Joe Rogan right now, but who gives a shit? This is bro, you have to get out and do the shit. You have to get out and start talking to people. That's why, like, even at my building, I talk to the janitor. I talk to the person who runs the front door. I'm teaching the guy who runs night shift how to trade, just because, dude, you never know. Like, he could become a really successful guy 10 years down the line.
With somebody.
Or you can connect me with somebody else. That's the thing, and people oftentimes look down on people. And here's a story that I think you'll really love. So when I was dropped out of college a second time, my mom, she gave me two options. She was like, you're either going to go to rehab, or you're going to go to the military. You can join the Marines. And I was like, all right, I'm going to go to rehab. And I wasn't a drug addict. She just wanted me to have some structure, because I was wild and out. And she was like, what? You're not making any fucking sense here. And so I go in there, and this guy, the first kid I meet, I end up giving him, apparently back in the day, like $2 or $3 grand on the street. I was like 16 years old. But he remembers me. He's like, yo, you don't remember me? Like, you gave me money that saved my life. And he was a kid. He was like, I was homeless on the street in Portland, Oregon. And you had gave me, a bunch of money in cash, and not able to bought me a hotel room. I ended up being able to move back in with my family. I still got on drugs. I ended up here, but I'm here and not dead. And the guy who was sleeping with me was threatening to stab me because he was high off fucking meth. So, like, that money that I gave him, just by giving it to somebody, like, dude, I probably could have used it. Maybe like all the cash I had from hustling. You know what I'm saying? But I just gave it to him, not even thinking about it. Years later, he's the first guy, bro, he's the first guy that I meet inside of rehab. And he's a kid, looks just like me, blonde, blue eyes, a little bit older, from my same area. And he's telling me that he remembers me and that I saved his fucking life. And I had no idea, zero idea. You know what I mean? And now he may not be the most successful guy ever, but that little thing changed his life, right? That piece of good that I did helped somebody live, help somebody survive, help somebody actually change their life. So my whole entire principle is like, be grateful for the people that extend their hand to me and always extend my hand to them, right? Like, so for my friend, like he didn't have to invite me to come live with him. He didn't have to invite me to his house, but he did because I was a good guy to him. We were good friends. And then look at that prospered information, knowledge that helped me on my path to success. So I feel like I have to give back at the same way. And it's not even like I'm doing it for anything. I'm doing it because I'm grateful. I'm doing it because this is what's supposed to be done. You know, if you're blessed, you have to bless others, you know, and people forget that. And oftentimes, like we were saying about people who get lucky, they hit one time, they get this big ego and they forget that, you know, there was another person that helped you get there. Even if you want to say you did it yourself, there's somebody who extended their hand to you when they didn't have to do it. And you have to show gratitude for that because otherwise you're creating an imbalance in energy, the universe, God, that is going to come back to bite you in the ass.
Yes.
And so by living with gratitude and living with a helping hand, it's only going to come back to you. And usually it comes back 10, 20, 100 fucking fold.
Yeah, but the intentions, whatever energy you're putting out there, that's what you're going to receive.
Yeah.
And maybe being grateful, not to the same person that hit you, but somebody else that you see they're struggling. And it doesn't really have to be money. It's just value. You can help them out.
Yeah.
Telling them something, masterminding, like whatever that you can provide a value for that person.
Dude,
be grateful.
Literally, like the guy who's mopping up our floors. Dude, he's like, I know he just came to this country. He probably doesn't speak much English, but we literally, every time, the first thing he said, he was like, happy day. Every time I see him, I shake him like, happy day, man. I hope you're doing good. Like, you know, like just shake him up. Like, you know, like, yo, if you ever want you get some food, like whatever, like, the lady who runs the night shift before this new guy, I saw her at Publix and bought her groceries, like, you know, because like I know I'm driving a fucking Corvette, I know I'm living in the building, I know she's working the desk, I know it's hard for her to spend money on groceries that are fucking inflated to the dog moon, and I don't give a shit. I'm like, you know, I'm in a position, thankfully, I don't give a shit about spending 100, 200, 300 bucks on groceries. I can do it, so why does I help her? I see her every day. There would be, I feel like, you know, might as well give her the opportunity to not have that stress this time at the grocery store. You know what I mean? And people don't do that shit. But like, but the other thing is like setting the example, right? Like being the person that you want the world to be, right? Like, I don't know if that's 100% how I said it right, but you know, you got to put yourself out there as the person, not only that you want to be, but that you want to give to the world, so that you got to be the change in yourself that you want to see in the world. And I really want more people to be helping each other, and with it, knowledge, whether it's financial, whether it's just with support or kindness. I think it's so important because people are too self-centered, especially now with the social media stuff. Everyone's focused on me, and that is actually not the way to become successful. It's not the way to change the world. The way is to actually help somebody.
I think people need a reminder of their values, because it's so important. It's just the basic stuff, but nobody applies their values, you know, loyalty, like respect, all that. Some people just forget about it.
Yeah.
And those principles are the most important things. Like, people are so focused on themselves, they don't even see if somebody's struggling. Oh, fuck them. I'm good.
Yeah.
What the hell?
No, exactly.
What's wrong with you?
Like, dude, every time I'll be walking in Brickell and I'll see like the homeless people and stuff, and I'll have like leftovers. My goal whenever I have leftovers is not for me to eat it, it's for me to give it to some guy. Like, you know, to give it to somebody that needs it. And that's what I do every time, you know, and I don't ever film it. I don't do, you know, I'm just talking about it now because I think it's an important message for people to understand. Like, if you're blessed, bless others. Don't just keep ignoring somebody, because guess what? There's so many people that are going to you're going to meet that are going to end up doing better than you, or be able to help you or introduce you to somebody. And if you look past them, or you overlook them, or you treat them from an egotistical point of view, they're going to fucking remember that. So
of course they will.
Yeah. So you're not so that's that you're shutting doors for yourself for no reason. But versus if you come it the other way, they're gonna want to do everything for you, you know? And that's what it's about. So like that understanding of that principle in and of itself is what's gonna take you to success. It's not, you know, what next meme to buy. You know what I mean? Like, it's principles, morality, how you carry yourself, the things you do, how you expend your energy in the world, and the value you're providing to the world. And you're showing the change that you want to see in the world in yourself by acting a certain way. And I think it's so important that people fucking miss that. But, you know, I really just want everyone to follow their own intuition when it comes to finding the route to success, whatever the vehicle is, and continue to listen to their heart and listen to God and help others along the way. And that's my main statement, mission for everyone listening that wants to be successful. Just do that and it will work itself out. because oftentimes you're not going to have the full fucking picture painted in front of you, or whatever you think the picture is, it's going to look completely different, but you're going to be happy that it does.
I totally agree. And I hope you guys know that he's dropping a ton of value today. If you could tell yourself when you were younger some type of advice, or what would you have done differently?
Well, I don't live with any regrets. I think everything is how it's supposed to be. The only thing I would say is forgive my family a little bit more. I was a very troubled kid. I got thrown out of schools. I got in a shitload of fights. I was a badass little kid. And I've cleaned up my life a lot and become such a better person. Even though I grew up Christian, I grew up with a lot of the right values. I got 5 siblings, all different dads, mom working 3 jobs, dad's fucked up, a whole thing. But I didn't forgive them for that stuff when I was growing up. And I isolated myself from them, and I was kind of mean to them. And I wish that I wasn't. Now, obviously, it's completely different. I've helped my mom out tons. I help my dad out tons. I try to help my siblings if they want it. But the problem is that when I was a kid, I didn't have the foresight to see what they were trying to teach me or what they were trying to do for me. I just was looking at the other kids who had a perfect life, and I was upset. So if you're a kid right now and you maybe don't have the perfect life, your family isn't together, your parents aren't together, there's a lot of shit going on at home, right? You don't get the car when you're 16, dude, give your family grace. They're trying their absolute best to provide happiness for you. And sometimes they may get angry, and sometimes they may tell you don't do shit. Don't follow their orders in a way of, conducting your life and how you can achieve, right? Don't take that small box they may be trying to put you in as something that, is going to burden you, but give them grace and forgiveness for all that they are trying to do for you, and treat them with respect, love, and kindness no matter what. And that's going to be something you'll look back on fondly, instead of treating them with aggression back, or anger back, or frustration back. Because as I've gotten older, I'm realizing, because I have friends who have kids now, and I want to have a family, and I'm like, at the end of the day, all the parent wants is for their kid to be happy, and their kid to be successful. And it's a fucking hard road for most people. The truth is, most people aren't going to be really successful. Most people aren't going to be financially independent. Most people aren't going to be able to drive the car they want. They're not going to be able to live in the house they want. They're going to have to work really fucking hard every fucking day to put food on the table, so that you can go to school, so that you can have a roof over your head, so that you can go find something better. And just forgive them for that. That's all I really want to say.
So I totally relate to that, because I left my parents' house early as well. Like I didn't want to listen to them. I was like, I want to do my own thing. What happened for you to realize that it's so important to have a good relationship with your family? Be kind to them. What really happened there?
I think for me, what really happened was I realized that I was starting to isolate myself away from my family. And I thought, because they didn't agree with me dropping out of school, they didn't agree with me trying to pursue what I want to do, even though they always told me I could do anything. It's like, when you actually do it, they're like, what the fuck, And, I'm kind of just being a wild fucking kid, and I'm not listening to them, and I'm really just upset at what's going on at home, and I'm upset at it not being like other kids. What really changed it, though, was when I had cut my family off for a year. When I had first got on my own, I stopped talking to them. Literally wouldn't answer their call or anything. And I would just think about, I'm like, what if they fucking drop dead tomorrow? And this is how I leave it. It's real.
Yeah.
What if I get a call and, my mom has a fucking heart attack and she's dead, and I haven't talked to her for 6 months, just ignoring her texts, ignoring her calls, all because all because she doesn't agree with what I'm doing, all because she just wants the best for me, and I don't, and it's some petty shit. So I was just in my own thoughts, realizing at 19, I was like, look, if something happens to them, or anyone in my life, my friends, so I always tell my friends I love them. It's not weird. It's like, hey, I love you because I do. I appreciate you. I want to let you know today that I appreciate you. I want to let you know now.
Tell them I love you when they're dead.
Right? But you can't fucking hear me in the coffin. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, I don't like, people are often be too cool to do, oh, I'm too cool to say that. Nah, man, I text my mom every day. I text my dad every day. I try to call them every day. My brothers, my sisters, my friends, all of them. I try to make sure that every day I'm bringing more joy to their life, because you never know. And at 25 now, I've had a few friends pass away, one of which was the kid who took me in. The kid whose family took me in, he passed away from a fentanyl overdose, and his mom, we were about to go to Cancun together. His mom calls me, he's dead. And their family's changed my fucking life, you know? And so like that shit really fucked me up. This kid's had, you know, I thought he had everything in front of him, which he did, but you know, I mean, he wasn't even a drug addict, you know, he was just partying or something, and someone gave him the wrong shit. And you know, all these kids in LA and New York, Miami, they fucking party all the time. Everyone, I've done it myself, you know, we've all fucking partied and shit. And you know, it's like, and so I was just like, shit really fucked me up. I was staying strong for them, and you know, especially the funeral, I was like very like just trying to be strong for his dad and his mom, and be there and be like, you know, like, you know, but it fucked me up because I'm like, damn, like
could you say that situation made you realize how life can take you away, like 100%. You know, because that guy, I guess for you, that turn off of your life, like it really changed your whole perspective.
My whole perspective. Without that, I would not be here today. Without the wisdom, the care, the love, the support that his family and him gave me, I would have no idea about any kind of life that I could have. It would, you know, I wouldn't have had a secure place to stay. I wouldn't have had knowledge that was given to me that didn't have to be brought to me. I wouldn't have had that sense of family from them that I wasn't feeling from my family at the time. And really, it was because they just didn't agree with me trying to do my own thing, and you know, and I was just being petty. But then I was really enjoying that. I felt so much love and respect and really care from them too at the same time. And so like, you know, my biggest thing now is like trying to tell kids, hey, look, it's fun to party, it's fun to do stuff, but be careful, right? Because your family's waiting on you to get home, right? And one day you might not fucking come home because it's real. You're not bulletproof, and it may take you losing somebody or a couple people to really understand that. But that's why, like, even now, you know, I do everything I can to make them proud, to make him proud, and to make sure that I'm gonna continue to be everything that I know he could have been, wanted me to be, and just do the right thing for the world, and try to do the best I possibly can for him, because you know, they gave me something I could never repay, and they don't need money, you know, anything. But the best thing that I can do is to just be a beacon of hope and success for other people, and show them the right way to go about things in life, and that, you know, it's not worth it to take these short pleasures or to take these shortcuts in life. And the best thing to do is to think about the long term. Think about every decision you make, you know, like we were at the casino the other night. I drove my car there. It was great. We were there, but you know, we start drinking. I'm like, I'm gonna just leave the car. I'm gonna just Uber home, you know. But I've had friends who've died in drunk driving accidents. I got a couple friends who've overdosed. He was the most
fall asleep.
Yeah, he was the most impactful person that's died to me, that really changed my life. And it still trips me out because he was such a good guy, and he was such a person that, like, you know, it's like God always takes the good ones, you know, like it doesn't make it, you know, like it doesn't make sense. I'm like, dude, when I was a kid, like, and I was drinking and driving, I was smoking weed and driving, I was fucking, dude, nothing happened to me. I was taking pills, I was doing all that shit. And I was like, how the fuck is this kid who is literally perfect, you know, like great, he was the greatest guy, like how is this kid who's literally perfect get that happen to him? You know, it doesn't make sense. And then that really fucked with me on a spiritual level too, and started diving back into like trying to understand God and understand why, and understand and it really puts a lot of weight on my shoulders in the sense of, well, this kid really, without him and without what has happened, you know, that was like the most pivotal moment in my life. You know, really, I mean, it was without that, I seriously would not have anything today. And, you know, it fucks me up that he can't see me today driving the car, you know, he can't see me today being successful running the business, because we used to talk about, you know, when he passed in 21, and, you know, this is when I'd started making a lot of money trading, and I was showing him like, you know, a couple $100,000, you know, showing him like that I was starting to live really good, and I was on my way to making millions, and he was just so happy, so proud of me. Him and his dad were like the most, you know, and I have older brothers, but one thing that really bothered me was they were never around for me. They never told me, oh, I'm proud of you. You know, my dad didn't either for a long time, because he was, you know, he was just out of the picture. And so I always really wanted that. And so for him and his dad to tell me that they were proud of me, and that they were excited for the success that I was having, and, you know, and just they saw so much in me, I carry that very, very heavy on my heart. And, I know that I just have to continue to push harder every day, make the next right decision every day, right by them and right by their son, because, that kid changed my life. And I know this is kind of getting a little, yeah. But, this is why you have to be there for people. Tell people that you support their dreams. Don't down people for if they want to go start that new business. Don't down people if they're trying to move out of their hometown. Like, literally fucking support them. Be their number one cheerleader. It takes nothing. If someone's a music artist or they're a painter or whatever, fucking post their shit on your story. It's one fucking post. Like, don't be afraid. Like, don't think you're too cool, because if that person dies tomorrow, you're going to wish you would have gave them more love. You're going to wish you would have gave them more support, right? So just remember that no one's too fucking cool for anything. Support your friends, support people you don't even know. And because all that stuff is going to come back around 10x to help you. And it's a much better way of living for your soul. Your soul's going to feel a lot better doing that than being so egotistical and in your own world and in your own little reality here that's just about you, right? Because, I don't know about you, but my goal is when I do pass one day, I want there to be thousands of people at my funeral. And the only way I'm going to be able to do that is by impacting and changing those people's lives. And by changing those people's lives, I'm making the world better, right? Because I want the world to actually be better. So the only way to do that is to help people, right? To support people. It can be as small as saying, thank you for opening the fucking door for me. Thank you for cleaning the floors. I hope you're having a good day. And people don't even do that. Uber driver, oh, hey man, how's it going? Like, how's life? How's your family? People, they don't have that anymore. But you gotta start doing that. We gotta start coming together, right? It's not about where you come from. It's not about how much money you got. It's about love, respect, and being kind to one another, right? That's it. That's really all it is.
I live that every day. Like, there is a mission for us to empower others.
Yeah.
Once you empower others, you empower yourself, because what goes around comes around. And I totally agree with that, man. I think that mentality, people need to start like waking up and actually like reminding themselves that the basic stuff is just the most important. Yeah. They live so much by the money or by whatever they look. I just said that the little word that they have in their phone now is so powerful, and they don't even know how to use it. They don't even know how powerful this is, and they're just getting trapped in the consumption and the content. Like, now Amazon, like, literally you order something, it gets here tomorrow. It's like so easy for everything. And how I live is I need to deserve it. I need to work for it. Like, even food, like I haven't eaten anything today, and like until like I accomplish what I need to accomplish today, I'm not gonna eat. I'm not gonna like do any, like, I can't get it, because if not, I'm gonna get comfortable. Yeah. And that way, like, I don't want to live that way.
No, you gotta constantly be earning it, especially as a man. I think you gotta really earn it in life, and that's the best feeling. Like, the best feeling necessarily isn't the material shit you're gonna get. It's who you're gonna have to become to get that. With the trials and tribulations you're gonna face, and the shit that you think is cascading your entire world, and everything's fucking going wrong, and you can't understand why, but you figure it out, and you fucking move past the mountain, and then you get on the next mountain, and you're climbing, and
you're stronger,
and you're getting stronger, and you're looking, you're like, damn, these biceps get big, right? And shit, you might not even, it's like you might not even be that big, right? You might not even be a multimillionaire. You might not even be, a really successful business owner, but you signed your first client. But
not yet.
Exactly.
That's the thing, not yet.
Yep.
Because you will.
Exactly.
If you keep being persistent, if you keep being disciplined, if you keep doing it. Because it's just a matter of how long you've been doing it for. What, a month? You think you're gonna get rich in a month?
Yeah.
Are you for real?
Yeah.
Like, come on, bro.
But that's the crazy mentality now that the people are in. Like, they think that it just happens overnight.
As I said, like Amazon, everything's so quick.
Yeah.
That's not how you get successful.
No.
That's not how you get it.
No. And me and two, we're both still young. Like, dude, who we're gonna be in 20 years is a whole nother. You can't even picture it. You don't even know. No. It's like. That's what I mean. But we've already started when we were young. Mm-hmm. So like a lot of times people too, they get things misconstrued. They see somebody young that's successful, in their 20s, even teenagers. But the thing is they started 5-10 years ago. My roommate right now, he's a successful trader. He reminds me a lot like myself. And he started when he was 12.
What?
He started trading when he was 12. Yeah, he's 19, about to turn 20. He's damn near 8 years in the game already.
He's almost a decade.
Almost a decade in the game. He started at 12 years old. That's why he's successful now. Like, it's not like, oh, he didn't do shit and, you know, in a year now he's a millionaire. Like, no, it doesn't work like that. It may look like that because you don't see all the years. The one guy, though, who did this really well, and it's one of the reasons why I think he's so successful now, is Iman Gadzhi. Because he filmed himself from literally starting at zero, and he filmed every day, and he filmed that was genius. And that is literally it's such a great story. I really respect that guy a lot, and I love everything that he's done because you can see it.
You can start.
You can start from 10 years ago on his videos when he has literally nothing, and he's happy just to be able to pursue his business. He's happy to be able to get that first client, happy to be able to put a smile on his mom's face, like, you know, to get a new apartment, like that. Like, people want to skip all that happiness and they don't enjoy any of that just to get some fucking Lambo, and then they get the fucking Lambo if they do get
they're
it,
empty inside.
and they're fucking empty, you know. So my biggest thing, and I made a post because I got the Corvette, and I posted how 2 years ago I had like a 06 Lexus, and I was still smiling, fucking happy. I was happy I had a fucking car. I was happy that I could fucking now go do what I needed to do. It wasn't like I was upset. Oh, I'm driving a piece of shit. Like, I didn't give a fuck. I knew who I was. I knew exactly what was going to come to me as long as I kept putting my foot in front of the other, and I stayed happy and grateful for the things that I do have, you know? And that's all that you have to fucking, you know, material shit is bullshit. It's all made by someone else that for a cheaper price than you're paying. Richard Mills probably costs fucking a band to make, boy. And you're going to sit here and pay $300K and think it's really all this. It ain't shit. The richest fucking people I met, yeah, some of them got nice watches. A lot of them, they don't even fucking wear nice clothes. They wear Costco fucking brand. Like, they don't give a shit, you know? And they don't care about how much money you got at all. They just care about who you are. They care if they can trust you. They care if you are going to fulfill on the shit that you say you're going to do. They care about, where is this kid going? That's what they care about. And so, like, you know, back to kind of something we've made earlier about, like, talking to who are you listening to? Be careful about who you listen to, all that stuff. You know, the biggest guys in the world, you know, you're not going to sit there and yap about how much money you made. They don't give a shit. They give a shit about your quality of your heart and where you're going. What adversity have you been through and overcome? And that's what they want to see, because then they feel like they can trust you. And then when they feel like they can trust you, then they want to do business with you. And a motherfucker who's a billionaire who wants to do business with you is a fucking win. And he's not going to do it because you've got some track record from your e-com store that made $200K a month. He don't give a fuck. The guy's a billionaire. He don't give a shit. What did it take to get there? What were the trials and tribulations? You know, what is your character? What do you stand for? Like, that's what fucking matters. And, you know, in this world that's like constantly more narcissistic, constantly more material, it's so important to focus on morality, standards, character building, and, you know, overall improving the world. And not just your own world, right? It starts with you. It starts with one guy, you know? That's what it takes. And it doesn't take just miraculously waking up in a fucking Lamborghini and with millions of dollars. That doesn't happen, you know? It's the man that you have to become, the woman you have to become, the person you have to become to get there. The trials and tribulations that are real, that are going to fucking happen, that are going to suck, that are going to make you want to jump off a fucking building. But because you don't jump off the building and you continue to strap in the boots and get to work, that is what makes you successful, and that is what's going to make other people like you.
Next.
Yeah.
Brother, I think this was an amazing podcast.
Yeah, amen.
And I thank you everyone for watching.
Absolutely.
If you can share your social media, where they can find you.
Yeah, Agent Busy. Agent. Listen, I'll tell you on the name too. I've always loved James Bond. I've always loved like spy movies growing up. Because my dad was a movie editor, so he just like would show me we had all these VHS tapes, all these old like shit from the 60s, 70s, and the Bond movies were great. And we'd go to the library and rent ones that we didn't have. So like we'd go to the library and rent like James Bond, GoldenEye, and shit like that. And I would just love it. We'd watch it on our couch, and I was like, oh, I want to be like this guy.
Funny type.
Yeah, like old money and like adventure. Like you're shooting guns. You got a hot girl. You're traveling all over the world. Like I was like, fuck, this is the life. Like this is what I want to be. Like, you know, more than anything, I was like, I just want to figure out how to be that. And so when it came time to like make an Instagram, I was like, oh, like agent. You know, like I'm the agent. So yeah,
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, you're the main character of the movie.
Yeah,
the movie we're living in is life.
We're the fucking director. We're the writer. We're the main star. And so you got to get out and start filming that
Exactly. Bro, I really,
Really appreciate it. Absolutely, me too.
thank you so much for
Yeah,
your time, bro.
100%.
You really like gave us so much value today.
I hope so. I hope everybody takes a lot away from that. And if you want to smoke a cigar,
For sure.
we got them here. The nice alligator skin. I don't think we could smoke in here, but
Nah, yeah, but we can
go outside.